Hi guys, and welcome to the try video for Sunday the 19th of April. I hope you've all had a really good couple of weeks having a break from your normal sort of schoolwork routine over Easter. So I hope that's been a really beneficial time for you. I have been absolutely loving the sunshine and the weather, and I've been out doing loads of housework and stuff. So I hope it's been beneficial for you as well. We're going to start as normal today. So in a second, pause the video. The link below for the playlist. So just pause the video, take a second to reflect, and listen to the lyrics of the songs that are on there. And then when you're ready, press play and come back and we'll continue with this video. So we're going to get straight into it today. I don't know if you remember 2 weeks ago, we started by looking at a story about Elijah and his retreat into a cave. So we're going to continue with that story today. So we're coming back where he had retreated and he's running away from what the Lord wanted him to do or where God had placed him. And God had blessed his journey, even though it was in the other direction. And then we end up and we meet him here and he's in this cave in retreat mode. So this is 1 Kings 19, and we're going to read from verse 9. So there Elijah went into a cave and stayed all night. Then the Lord spoke his word to him. Elijah, why are you here? He answered, Lord God all-powerful, I have always served you as well as I could. But the people of Israel have broken their agreement with you, destroyed your altars and killed your prophets with swords. I am the only prophet left, and now they are trying to kill me too. The Lord said to Elijah, go and stand in front of me on the mountain, and I will pass by you. Then a very strong wind blew until it caused the mountains to fall apart and large rocks to break in front of the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire, there was a quiet, gentle sound. When Elijah heard it, he covered his face with his coat and went out and stood at the entrance to the cave. Then a voice said to him, Elijah, why are you here? So this may seem like a bit of a weird link here, but Britain's Got Talent has just started again on the TV. And in Britain's Got Talent, one of the most common acts that comes up every year are magicians, magic acts, card tricks, all of that kind of thing. And people love magic because they don't understand it. And the whole premise behind magic is that they're making you see one thing that isn't really happening by making you not see the thing that is really happening. They're distracting you with something over here so that you don't see the truth that's actually going on behind here. And what this builds is a picture of something magic and something that does not really happening. And this is called deception or sleight of hand. But it's built around this premise of we spend so long looking for what's happening. We know when a magician comes on stage that they're going to try and deceive us. So we're looking for that thing. We're looking for the big thing that we're like, that's how he does it. And we're searching for that so hard that what we actually end up doing is missing the little things that are going on that are actually the truth behind it. And I think for me, especially, this is something that happens in my faith, in that I spend so long looking for the right answer. I spend so long looking for the big sign from God, the blinding light, the bolt of lightning, the big booming voice, whatever it is, that's what I'm waiting for. And I'm waiting for that so that I know exactly what to happen. And I think sometimes I spend so long waiting and listening for those big booming voices and big signs that I miss when God is talking in a whisper. And that's exactly what's happening with Elijah here. God is saying to Elijah, I'm in the whisper. I'm in the quiet. I'm not in the noise. And I think this is quite relevant to us in this kind of time because we have this mixture of a lot of quiet time, but also a lot of noise. And there's a lot of things happening in terms of people have an opinion or people this is saying this is what you should be doing in this time. So I think this is very relevant. And I think there's a lot that we can take from this. So I'm just going to bring a couple of things out about what I think we can take from God saying that he's talking in the whisper. So I think the first thing is this requires intimacy. When you look at people who whisper, 9 times out of 10, it will be a couple or family members or really good friends. People who don't know each other don't tend to whisper because there's that element of intimacy to it. You have to be close. And God is saying this to us, that actually this is asking of us a level of intimacy with him in order to listen. Because I think if God only ever spoke in big booming voices or blinding lights or bolts of lightning, then that doesn't require any intimacy. We could be quite distant from him and still be able to listen and hear from him. So in this, God is saying to us, I want to be intimate with you. I want this level of intimacy. And the next thing here is that actually with whispering, if someone says to me, oh, can I whisper something to you? We lean into each other. There's an element of we move towards each other. It's not, I don't expect them to move all the way to me, and they don't expect me to move all the way to them. You meet in the middle. There's an element of you have to lean in. And this is what I believe God is saying to us here and to Elijah. He's saying, lean in to me in this time when there's a lot of noise. And you know, sometimes you can't decipher God from someone else or the right from the wrong. And actually lean into me and bring that level of intimacy with me, and then you'll be able to hear me. And actually, you see in the story with Elijah that he does move. He says, when Elijah heard it, he covered his face with his coat and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. There was an element of moving for him. He recognized that God was speaking in a whisper, and he made that point to say, I'm going to come and I'm going to listen to you here. And then finally, it's so difficult sometimes to recognize the voice of God within all the noise. All of these people saying what their opinion is of what we should do in this time, and all these voices in our heads and all of our own insecurities and fears all speak to us in different ways and different volumes. And it's so difficult to be able to decipher through all of that. But I remember watching a football game with my mum and her talking about the fact that she was thinking that actually how do these players decipher the voices of the footballers? Sorry, how do the footballers decipher the voices of the manager amidst the noise of the crowd? Because those stadiums are ridiculously loud. And on the pitch, you need to be able to listen to your manager and listen to your coaching staff to know what the tactics are if they change mid-game. But there's always this noise. So how do they decipher it? My mum said it's because they train with him every day of the week. They know his voice. So in those times where they need guidance, in those times where there's loads of noise, they recognize the voice of the manager and the coaching staff. And this is exactly the same with God. And I don't know if I totally recognize the voice of God yet. But actually, when you're first starting out on your faith journey, then actually it can be very difficult to recognize the voice of God. But the more you spend time with him, the more you lean into him, and the more you have that intimacy with God, you will learn to recognize the voice of God, so that when there's times where there's loads of noise and you can't decipher, you'll be able to recognize his voice. So in this time where there is also a lot of noise, but there's time to be quiet, make sure you're using this time to be intimate, to be quiet, and to lean in and listen to the whispers of God, and not just wait for the big blinding lights. And that way, you'll be able to recognize his voice, and you'll learn over time to find his voice amidst the noise. So that's what I wanted to bring you today. I hope you all have a really good week, and I hope the sun stays shining like it is now. Please keep sending me your joy stories. We'll keep sharing them. Keep up to date with the Instagram page. We've been doing cheesecakes this week and they look amazing. So go and vote on which your favourite is on there now. And we will be back next week at the same time, Sunday morning. So have a good week and we'll see you then.